Conversations at the Western Roofing Expo. We are here with our esteemed guests. I'm so excited. We're going to get to those introductions, but I do want to say my name is Heidi Ellsworth, and you are on the live sound stage sponsored by WRE and General Coatings. And it's been a great show. It is full, everything is looking good, but we want to find out what's happening in the Western states and really kind of get down to talking about, what are all the trending and what are all the issues out there, because that's what Coffee Conversations is all about. So let's start, and we're going to start with Stephanie. And Stephanie, can you introduce yourself?
Stephanie Baird with Bliss Roofing in Clackamas, Oregon, and I am on the board of directors for Western States.
Yes, I love your shirt. The Western States Safety App.
The Safety App, new and coming. It just was launched a few months ago.
I love it. I love it. That's so cool. Trent, can you? I waited until you took a drink. Trent, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Trent Cotney. I am partner instruction team leader at Adams & Reese, and I'm Western States General Counsel.
And Will, thank you for being back, and thank you for sponsoring the sound stage with General Coatings and WRE. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. I am Will Lorenz with General Coatings and president of General Coatings, and we're a manufacturer of spray foam and roof coatings. And just glad to be here with another conversation with you.
I know, I love it. I love these conversations, and we were actually just talking about the legislative luncheon before we went on air, so we'll talk a little bit more about some of that's coming up. But first of all, I'd just like to get from all of you how the show is going so far. We had a great auction last night, classes this morning, so Will, let's start with you. You've got your booth going, how's the show so far?
I think the show is going great. The flow through of people is strong, and a lot of people are very interested in talking with all the people at the booth. So we're seeing a lot of interest in finding out what people have as new technologies or what their companies have to offer. And we're appreciative that so many roofers are here and an opportunity to talk with them. So it's so far been a great show. We'll hope tomorrow's just the same.
Yeah, I think it will be, because we have that really fun, what is it, Family Feud?
The Roofers Feud.
The Roofers Feud. So Trent, how's it going for you?
Great. I had great meetings yesterday. Had a real tremendous auction, just like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know what the totals were, but it seemed like we broke.
The live auction alone was $51,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, and then had both seminars I did this morning were well attended. Got some great questions, and the trade show's packed. So far so good. Yeah.
It is packed. We can hear all the noise in the background. It's kind of fun. So Stephanie, how about you? You've been here for a couple days with the board meeting and everything.
Yep. I think the board meetings went well. I agree with Trent. I think the auction went well.
Yeah.
Lots of money raised. The silent auction is still going on. It will be until 5 or 5:30 tomorrow. Education was full. People were interested.
Good.
Yeah. I got the pleasure of sitting in on Trent's session for probably the third time. So no, I think everything is going great. We're sold out. We were sold out last year when we ended the show. Attendance is high. I think it's promising.
Yeah, it is. It feels really, when you're sitting here on this trade show floor or even in the events, it just feels so optimistic overall. We did just come out of the legislative luncheon that we were all at, some of us were. So I do love the fact that Western States really brings that. They bring Craig Bright up to talk about politics, which is not always shiny and pretty, but and also McKay Daniels was there, and I thought he did a great job. What do you think?
Oh, I thought it was great, and bringing up some topics that people aren't aware about, talking about the economy. Even though it's depressing, I think it's very important to hear it.
It is.
And where we're going in the future.
Yeah, and get prepped.
Yeah, and get ready.
Get ready.
Yep, get ready.
Get ready. Trent, what are some of the things, I want to kind of start with some of the trends, some of the things that are happening out there that really people should be aware of, and maybe that you're kind of talking about or hearing about while we're here.
Yeah, so, McKay Daniels actually brought it up, and it seems like everybody's got private equity on the mind. It's a buying frenzy out there, and the constant solicitations, a lot of deals happening, and as he said, it's difficult for any roofing contractor to kind of go through that, because they only have to go through it once, maybe twice in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And the people on the other side go through it, a dozen times a month. So definitely it's the biggest topic right now. Everybody's thinking about it or engaging in it. So.
And you've been speaking on that a lot.
Yeah, I'm actually speaking on it at LegalCon as well.
Yes.
We got a panel. So.
Yeah, we have a great coffee conversations with Trent that you can go watch on demand, all about mergers and acquisitions with Ken Kelly. I mean, everybody's talking about it, but I think what everybody else is kind of talking about too is the economy. And
it is.
so, Will, what are you kind of seeing and hearing on a national basis, and then more defined into the Western states, kind of looking at the economy right now and what's coming up?
So I think you got to divide things up in segments. Obviously, inflation and interest rates have sort of an overlaying tier on everything. But the residential sector has been hit harder than, let's say, institutional or traditional low-slope commercial. Obviously, larger entities that own things are still investing in their properties and making sure they're watertight, and they're still hiring roofers to do good work. But the consumer discretionary spending is becoming more difficult. They don't remember the days, as we were talking about, where interest rates were a lot higher. Everybody's been spoiled at near zero kind of numbers, and the buying power, particularly for young people, particularly even my daughter and her future husband, they want to try and get a house, and it's hard to get the down and hard to meet the qualifications, and it's hard to to get a decent rate. And so I think that part of the economy is having a greater impact, but we're about to enter the crazy season of politics and the federal level with the presidential elections, and so hopefully they keep the wheels on the bus, and keep the government working, so the rest of us can continue to keep paying the bills from the economy and paying our taxes.
Yeah, so. Normal life. We just want, let's just keep business going. I'm not sure why we always want to kind of get in the way of that. Stephanie, how are things looking in your area? You're out of Clackamas, but you business throughout the Portland metro area. What are you all seeing?
It's been a real soft roofing market this year. We are very fortunate to be one of the ones that have been busy all year long, which we are grateful for. But I mean, I get roofing crews come in every week looking for jobs.
Really?
Because people are slow. So yeah, it's been a really interesting market this year.
So labor, all of a sudden now it's kind of equalizing out, and labor's not as hard to find.
Yeah, for us, the last few years have not been a struggle. Although I hear it from other contractors.
Yeah.
We really personally have built a community where you build it and they will come, and so we always have a lot of crews, which is great. Our problem is I didn't have enough equipment this year to deal with the jobs. I had enough crews, but not equipment.
Not enough equipment,
which is a great problem to have. Yeah, but I know that hasn't been the case with everybody in our market. It's definitely been slower, and our sales have been down as well. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that we're hearing too from the manufacturers and from some distributors is that there was also a lot of inventory in the market, and so do you see any problems with getting any of the materials or anything at all?
No, we've had no problem with it at all. So where we saw like in 2021 and 2022 and everybody was on allocations and you could only have 2 colors, and no, that was no fun.
Oh, no fun.
No fun.
And we're good.
We're good. Yeah. I think everything's back.
Well, and I think, Will, I wanted to you and then to Trent, but I think it's interesting. One of the, when you're at these shows, you're hearing the buzz, right? What's the buzz everybody's talking about? And one of the buzzes that I'm hearing is this inventory, that there's just a lot of inventory out in the field, in contractors' warehouses, in distributors, and so for manufacturers, that has actually caused some softening just because we're trying to equalize back. What are you seeing there?
I think so. I mean, I think, my rule of thumb is when anything goes up dramatically, it comes down. It's gravity kind of at its best here. So, things that have been steady will remain steady unless market forces disrupt it. But, some of the products definitely had, significant shortages and impacts, and the market got, out of whack. And so it tends to, normalize, and it's got to kind of work its way through the economy. And inventory is one of those things where when you didn't have anything, let's say several years ago in the COVID situation, you kind of learned your lesson. Maybe I should keep more of it. And then, you know, now you kind of pay the price if you're keeping it, because you got to turn that into a sale and get it on a roof and make that. So it's a double-edged sword. And many people went from single source to multiple source, and now, you know, now maybe they're reevaluating the value proposition with people and who's the right partner for them, and trying to ensure that they have, you know, what they need is supply or what they need is support to be successful. And that's what I think all of us suppliers are trying to do here at the show, whether it's, you know, suppliers or distributors, is identify customers and really figure out how we can help them succeed. We're part and parcel to it.
The relationships are more important than ever, it feels like. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, and especially people learned that coming through COVID and the material shortages, is that relationships they really are the cement. What are you seeing out there trending around that?
Yeah, it's exactly what they said. You know, I think the days of material unavailability are pretty much over. You know, maybe a pocket here or there, but it's really kind of worked its way out. Right now, we're just kind of seeing, you know, sort of the reverse, where manufacturers are trying to get rid of excess inventory and scale back down to a reasonable, you know, not ramp up so much and kind of get back to where it was, which will take time to kind of work itself through the system. You know, I'm optimistic that we learned some lessons. You know, I hope we did. You know, I spoke this morning at History of Roofing about how you can look back in time and see how we're repeating some of the same mistakes. This is one where I hope we kind of fine-tune some of the logistics so that we don't end up like we were again, because it was rough.
Well, when I look back, and I actually started in roofing in the 90s, and so when I look back at the 90s, it's really interesting to me. So much that happened when I first started in roofing is happening now. Tons of roll-ups and mergers and acquisitions were happening in the 90s. There was all the contractors had big warehouses, and then everything kind of changed, and now it's like we tend to repeat ourselves quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's us adapting to the global economy. So, you know, right now you went with a circumstance where a lot of raw materials during the COVID time were manufactured or came as a component from overseas, came from China and areas. And so when China had its problems and availability of those products didn't come in, China, India, that area, you know, the U.S. economy suffered, and so shortages occurred and prices went up, and it was a difficult time for all of us.
Right.
I would just say that if you look at the global economy today, China's kind of on its knees, and so, you know, they seem to be very desperate about trying to move products and services into the United States, because we're still a more prospering economy.
Right.
And so, you know, that's a big force that most people hadn't used to, that, you know, that part that they got has come from several places around the globe to get to them, and if it's, you know, chaos there, then it be more expensive. If it's not, then it could be, you know, a better, more cost-effective solution.
I think that's so true. That's a good perspective, because we are a global economy, but we are also trying to bring more into the U.S. So that's changing the dynamics too. It is kind of interesting. So we talked just a little bit about labor with Stephanie, but I would love to hear kind of. It was interesting today when I heard they were talking about, you know, inflation is still rising, but unemployment is still low, and there's a labor shortage. But again, it comes to culture. I really believe. Yeah, and talk a little bit more about that, because there's a lot of people who are saying there isn't a labor shortage, you're just looking in the wrong places. And I'm not 100%, but I know when you have the right culture, that makes a big difference.
Right, and our employees are a special niche of people that we get too.
Yeah.
So, and we have created a culture where people want to participate. I think that's beneficial. So
yeah.
I really do. And some of our crews have been with us for 20 plus years.
Wow.
I mean, that's a long time to get field workers that work for you for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So we see some of their children coming in. Yeah. So it's a very unique culture, and if you don't embrace it, you miss out on it.
Yeah. And you have a very philanthropic culture of giving back. You just won an award from National Association of Home Builders, saying, right? Did I say that on the word? You tell us.
Well, I did. I won Volunteer of the Year for Home Builders Foundation, which is the charity division of Home Builders Association. So that was last year. And I won the World Award.
Yes, National Women
I
in
won in the
Roofing,
National
yes.
Women in Roofing World Award. Yes, so
Yes.
I've had a very exciting year personally and professionally.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very, these are the kind of things that I keep seeing from roofing contractors across the country, and definitely here in the Western states, of really putting that give back first.
Oh, I think it's so important. I think it's important for future customers coming in. I believe in being a do-gooder,
Yeah.
and it does. It sells roofs. It really does. It sells roofs. We had something come up with Clackamas Fire. We donated some peel and stick, like a butt roll of peel and stick, and we're blasted all over the news and social media. It was like $100. It was nothing. We didn't even install it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And people would call us, yeah, we heard that you donated this for Clackamas Fire. And it really does. It goes a long way. I believe in giving back sells a roof, and I believe in honesty. Both of those things.
And it shows.
Yeah, huge component.
And it shows.
Yeah.
Trent, I know you have been, and I'm just kind of following this conversation because we have questions, but we kind of go wherever we want, or wherever I want. But we're planning right now on a Giving Back December, and Western States is going to be one of the recipients for the Davis Foundation. You're going to be writing some articles, we're going to be doing some broadcasts and broadcasting. Tell us about, this has been a core to you, to everything you do for the industry.
Absolutely, and we partnered with Roofers Coffee Shop for this will be the third or the fourth year?
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't know what the final tally is, but it's over 50,000 that we've raised for 4 different roofing association foundations. So tremendous effort, and it's kudos to you guys for putting it out there and for all the people that donate. So
we like to celebrate it.
Yeah.
We like to celebrate everything you're all doing, and it's kind of the same thing. So I'm going to just bounce right to what's going on with you with the RCMA. You have done so much.
Yes, yeah. Well, we believe in education and training, and at RCMA, we realize that people can't, install products properly if they don't know about them, and so education and training and getting it out there is so critical. And everybody in the food chains, is successful with it when people have good knowledge and can make the right choices of how to do something. And so, we're a believer that, a way forward is education and training for people. And I look at the American economy and say, well, we have always had innovation. We've always had people willing to work hard. We've always had people who were committed to giving back, and that's what I like about the roofing industry. Is it's very generous people, many business owners who could put it all in their pocket, but they're contributing back into society, and they're showing up at the Western event last night and being quite generous with it, and those things really show that we're a partner in the overall construction trade, rather than not just the recipients of that sale and those businesses. So
it feels like, when you look at everything that's happening in the roofing industry, around training, around education, scholarships, the giving back, so many people, you've really seen this huge lift that has happened, I would say, in the last 10 years, of people kind of shifting a little bit to really focus on that. And I think it's so important, because it rises the industry with the training that's out there.
Yeah, when we talk about new entrances in the business, where they come in at the first level or the second level or wherever, everybody wants to feel comfortable in their job, and they want to feel valued, and they want to be able to contribute and earn their keep, and then hopefully earn a brighter opportunity in the future. And so, if you don't train them well, onboard them, give them the tools, they're going to fail, and then everybody, is hurt by it. And we really all are now recognizing more of that value, instead of saying, well, you're the guy who's going to be the tear-off crew, get up there and see what you can do. We've kind of gone away from that. I'm glad to see that, young kids, they don't have that long mentoringship program as they may be used to in the trades, and so now it requires us to get up to speed faster with people.
Right, and that training. So in fact, we're doing a contest in the booth right now to drop off your business card, and General Coatings and Everroof are going to be giving away free training promo codes to the RCMA roof coatings classes. So I just keep seeing all these come through. And speaking of that, I want to kind of get back to how important it is from associations. So let's talk about the app, because this has been Western States has worked so hard to really bring, again, a training mechanism. Talk about that.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, it's on the back of my shirt, and I don't know if I can get out of this chair and get back up again. But yes, they had launched they launched the safety app, I think 2 months ago, I think maybe June or July, and it's been under beta form for the last 6 months. Trying it out. I'm on the safety committee.
Yes.
And so I was one of the people like, this takes too long. It needs to shorten it up. But it's really great. It's great for record keeping. It's great for tools out there, for toolbox talks, on-site inspections, ideas of what to talk about, what to look for. Yeah, it's really a great thing. It is. It's
and
cool.
What's the fee? Yeah,
it's free if you're a member.
For members.
It's free. Yeah. It is. It's great.
And we just had Yana on here from her roofing, and she was talking about membership at Western States, and she's like, it just pays for itself.
It does. It's not much to begin with. It pays for itself. Yeah. The discounts that you get, and you get legal.
Yes.
You get technical. I mean, you get all kinds of the best things.
All that they go together.
And the safety. You get a lot for your membership. I think it's very valuable.
Very valuable. And Trent, you're doing this with a lot of associations. You have legal services from Western States, NRCA, Chicago, Florida, everywhere. Talk just for a minute, like for contractors out there to get involved with their local association. And I mean, we have to talk about associations when we're here at this great trade show. How valuable is that for their business?
Look, I think it's incredibly useful. I mean, if you're part of an association, you're in the know, and that's one of the reasons I like belonging, because I get to learn about what the safety issues, the technical issues, the industry issues, and it makes me better at what I do, right? So if you're a Western States member, not only do you get 15 minutes free legal advice every month, but you also get access to exclusive articles. Just in the OSHA seminar today, you get I offered my book for free if they want, if you're a member. All different kinds of things that are value add, from a legal perspective. So I think it's useful just because it helps you issue spot and hopefully, avoid those big problems.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn so much just by the networking and talking to people. But I'm thinking of NRCA because, I mean, that's where you and I met.
Yes.
Yeah, and what is your experience being, with everything you're doing now with NRCA, RCMA, and you're involved across the board?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's a people-to-people business, and so you got to get to know them, and from people you can learn, what you need to correct, what you need to improve. You can also impart your education and wisdom onto other people. You can help them out of a hole, they can help you out of a hole. So, that symbiotic relationship can see greater success. And I always like that we are supporting new kids getting into the business. We're supporting people getting trained. We're supporting people doing it right, so we avoid those nasty four-letter words like OSHA and stuff like that. Trent's more familiar with those kind of things than myself, but when we're all successful, we keep the wolves, so to speak, at bay, and people can foster better relationship with their end user about a good building with a good roof and be satisfied, and then the trade just doubles and doubles in my mind.
Yeah, it really does. So one of the things that the NRCA and Western States and a number of ARCA, I'm talking to so many associations, are really starting to get involved with is Skills USA and the CTE overall in getting with the next level. It's hard to believe, but it's Skills USA, which is a national competition for vocational schools. They didn't even have roofing 3 years ago, and now we do, and we're starting to get involved. How important is it, and kind of what are you seeing, Stephanie, around this, getting back into the vocational schools and getting involved?
I think it's super important because we have tried to do that in the high school level, and there just hasn't been an area to do it, and so you kind of just give up. You know? And so now there are places in Oregon that offer that, and so we're so excited about it and hoping to do something in 2024 with that.
Good.
No, it's exciting.
I'm excited because I want to see Oregon.
We do.
There in the competition.
We sure do.
We sure do.
We sure do.
Yes. We aren't prejudiced about Oregon or anything like that. But okay, so we got to get our team going. Trent, you've been watching it. We're working with John Espenshade, everything that's happening with Skills USA, but also just that overall push to get roofing and how great roofing is down into the vocational schools, but even younger. What are some of the things you're hearing from contractors and you're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's a real granular local bite as well. A lot of contractors that I know are doing outreach in their communities and just educating and looking for labor that hadn't been tapped before to try to bring them in. And you start with the schools. You've got to show people the pathway and say, look, being a roofing contractor can be, you can be very successful. It's a great industry. I love it. I'd love my son to get into it. But you got people. It's got a bad reputation that you've got to, get people to understand, right?
And that it's really a great thing, and they're definitely hold on to that for Logan, because I didn't think Megan or James would want to be in the industry, and they're both now all the way in, so it's great. But one of the things too, that as we're looking at contractors on that local level getting involved, I think it is important that they really look they have that leadership from the associations on how to get involved. Like I'm sure we're going to talk about in the fall meetings. I know we're talking about in the fall meetings. Everybody's talking about bringing these groups together and really trying to figure out the vocational schools. Talk a little bit about that future, because I know where I was going with that. Sorry, I rambled for a minute, but where I was going with it is technology. So the technology is what's really changing it, I think, for a lot of young people too. Now they see that on roofing you're flying drones, you're running machines. Pretty soon we're going to be running robots on the roof. So Trent, that's what I wanted to ask you is, what are you with the technology out there? You track that really closely.
Yeah, so I've been preaching it for years. It's just a matter of time before you see a sea change in how you put on roofs. Anytime there's a gap between supply and demand, and we have that gap with labor, technology solves that. Yep. So we're going to have automation, whether it's robots, machines, drones, the systems themselves. It's going to be less labor intensive. We've been putting on roofs the same way for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's too labor intensive, and I think technology will help solve some of that, increase efficiencies, and that's where I think we can really grab the younger audience.
You think about all those robotics classes that are out there in every school. Why can't we give them a challenge to put roof coatings down? And what are you seeing that way, Will, on technology on the roof?
Well, I think first of all let's back up to the bigger picture. What makes America great is small business and entrepreneurial spirit, and so getting an opportunity to work in a company, get trained, do a good job, and then potentially branch out with themselves and be in the roofing business is really a bright future to keep turning over and growing the business in roofing. Many of us, as you can see at the show, are on the older end. I've got a 6 now in front of my name, so we need younger people, and just technology doesn't always get them there. I think when you look at their control of what their destiny is and how hard they work and what they commit to can means to their success, and so I think that's really what I like about roofing, is that technology is going to kind of keep happening for all the industry, and I agree with Trent. It hasn't happened enough in the roofing sector. We are very labor intensive. But I really do think that it's the people themselves wanting to go and grow that's going to make the difference.
And it is interesting because you really think about the availability of robotics now and how that's going to work on the roof. Maybe not, although I was just going to say not as much steep slope, but I know they're working on a robot for steep slope right now. So we'll show you.
Well, there's machines and stuff that you can purchase to aid with it,
right.
But it is pretty laborious.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
But when you think about coatings and on more of a flat surface, that has a lot of potential to really change in the next couple of years.
It does. I mean, you can put something on there that can, put it across, whether it's, on a wheel or flying. It can dispense stuff if we can figure out whether it can carry a load or it needs to have a hose or something behind it. But it's just automation in general. I mean, I saw some recent videos of the automotive business, and how they used to have everybody picking up a tire and putting all 6 bolts or something into it. And, now there's very few people in many of those operations.
Arms. Yeah.
And I think the challenge for the roofing industry going forward will be how to stay relevant to the fact that some of these things are going to want new construction to be done in a company and then come out and be assembled as a whole building. And that's a potential to greatly impact the trade, because you're used to the replacement where they might be saying, well, we're going to build a more superior building, and it's going to be built, sort of ready-made box kind of configuration and assembled on site. And that could replace a lot of different trades because, if they can do it more efficiently and quality. So it's very important that, roofing contractors stay in the cutting edge of efficiency, innovation, and training, so that they can, be the course of what needs to be put on a roof.
Right. And that really kind of takes us to solar. I mean, you want to talk about technology on the roof, and really last, 40 years, it feels like a lot longer than that probably, that it's been, well, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it going to happen? But as we saw this morning, solar, the money is pushing solar to actually happen. And it's that changing dynamic on the roof of, is it the electrician, is it the roofer, is it a solar company, how does that work? And now, we know we get a lot of rain in Portland, but are you seeing any solar initiatives?
I see a lot more solar than we used to, and we're Oregon, so I mean, we don't have the sunshine as much as other states.
As much as Tampa.
Yeah, we don't have as much sunshine. We've seen a couple fly-by-night companies that really butchered roofs, and so we're real apprehensive of it at this point. And that's not to give it a bad name. I don't want to jade it, but now I'm real cautious with it. Make sure that the customer gets somebody that's been in business a while and has the accreditations to do so.
Right, and does it the right way.
Because they call us when the roof leaks. They don't call the solar company. They call me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And they want to know why your roof isn't working.
They call me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it brings about a bigger conversation about whether or not, when you look at a roof, what's the right thing for that whole building structure. Because, depending on the climate zone, you may need enhanced resiliency and durability. I know you're down in that Florida area and those things, and something keeps rolling up from the Gulf or the coast every year.
Yeah.
And could be, we got to build smarter, tougher, better for those environments. And then if you're in the cold climate, you got to build something that can hold up to that temperature, and also the fact that, energy is going to continue to get more expensive. Even if you put a solar panel on there, you still may not get much of a season up there. And, insulating it, designing it well is going to be important. You get down to Phoenix, hot and dry, you got to have good insulation. The materials on the roof got to insulate it well, because that's the main entry point for that heat to come in. So again, our industry has to just keep customizing and adapting to the conditions that the contract or the end customer building owner wants.
Right.
And then I think, prosperity will be strong for all of us.
Yeah, and it's because solar's not going to go away.
No,
it's not going to go away. This is a new source of energy that we are pursuing.
And people want to feel good about, their footprint on the environment. They really do. I think that's our customer that we get most often, is that it really makes them feel good. That's what they
want to do something. They're a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know. From a legal side, Trent, there's a lot going on with the solar and trying to and sustainability overall. So, what are some of the things contractors should be thinking about?
So, we see a lot of litigation and defect claims coming out of solar contractors, and the best solar contractors that are out there are the ones that partner with roofing contractors or roofing contractors that move into solar.
Yes.
And the reason I say that is that if you're a solar contractor and you don't have any roofing experience, you're going to butcher the roof.
Yeah.
And then the roofer gets dragged in, and it's a nightmare. The other thing is licensure and figuring out whose responsibility is what, because you got solar, electrical, and roofing all within the same sort of area, right? And for those states that have licensure, navigating that is difficult. So what we're seeing is with some of the new products that are integrated, it's streamlined things a little bit, and I think the technology continues to get better. Mm-hmm. So that may solve some of the problems, but definitely a lot of.
Well, and then you have the battery issue.
Yeah.
And we were on on some sort of call or meeting or something when someone was talking about they had the wrong inverter from the system to the batteries, fire. And so there's things that need to be done correctly, but it seems to me like we really want the roofing contractors to own that at some level, but to be able to do it the right way. So that again takes us right back to what we were talking about before, and that's training. And that we have to have the training to make sure, even if you're partnering with the solar company, really roofing contractors need to have that training so they just know what's going on and they don't get taken either, because I've seen that too.
The challenge I also see with solar is, we've done a good job of designing roof systems that shed water, that don't have a lot of excess penetrations, and then we go put solar up there, and now we've created a whole slew of opportunities for water, which is very ingenious to find its way in, and it becomes a greater obligation for the roofing contractor to figure out and make sure that everything's well sealed, because you had 30 penetrations, now you got 3,000. I mean, it's a magnitude full, and I agree with Trent. The success of it comes down to doing the roofing right. Obviously, it's got to stay up there. The panel's got to perform. They got to wire it correctly. But the bottom line is, unhappy homeowners or building owners come from, it never used to leak. Now it leaks. Why did that solar guy, leave me with this mess?
Yeah, read your overburden warranties.
Yeah, read your warranties. Well, and when the integrated solar shingles, which I'm going to be interested if you guys see those. I haven't walked the show floor yet, but I know, we have, excuse me, Tesla, GAF, Certainty, all of coming out with integrated solar shingles. That could make a big difference from the racks.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experimented or seen anything on it?
Well, not in Oregon. We don't really get the call for it very much, to be honest with you. We've done some of the solar reflective shingles in the past by those manufacturers, but we don't get asked to do that very often.
Not on the west side.
No, not really. Yeah, not really. We've probably done less than a handful the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting because you work with Ken Kelly, and he was big into Tesla and doing the integrated shingles. To me, it seems like it's kind of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a cool product. I remember when it came out in 2016.
Yeah.
It made a big splash, and I think it's gotten through some of the kinks, and I really think there's a lot of demand for it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in GAF knows roofing.
Yep.
Certainty knows roofing. So. And they're in the game now, and so I think that's going to be really interesting.
And I think people want something that really works, a combined system, and they want the most knowledgeable people to install that, and people want the highest probability of success. I know that most people don't hire a general contractor to do work at their house because they don't want to manage all these trades and so forth. They really want to let somebody else be in charge of that. And so, again, where solar is up on a roof, it really is the space of the roofer. Carpenters, electricians all want to kind of get up there, and because they see, it's changing, and so there's a business opportunity. But the smarter people, the people that can learn and know how to do it, install it right, that's the people that need to be, because they understand what it takes and what it takes to do it safely. I think I read recently that there was an unfortunate accident over here at the Bellagio. Someone fell putting in some of the F1, staging over there, and unfortunately the person passed away. And so, what we got to make sure skilled trades are doing it right, because the outcome can be, unfortunately, not very good if we don't do it right. So training, education, safety. I'm glad that companies in the roofing business take safety number one.
Exactly.
That's what's really important.
Well, safety. Back to the app. It has to be. That's what we have to be working on. I want to touch just really quickly on legislative. I know we were, some of us, I think we're all hearing this, we know things are going on, but the slide I think that really made me think the most this morning at the legislative luncheon was on regulations. And so when you're looking at a lot of new regulations coming down the pike, so I'd like to kind of talk about that, and what were some of the things, first of all, I'll start with you, Stephanie, what were some of the things on that regulations that kind of concerns you, but also what are you doing to kind of prep for a lot of these changes that are coming?
Well, the regulations that concern me the most are the new OSHA regulations coming through, and Oregon has passed a new bill, Senate Bill 592, with and it's an emergency Senate bill. They have to do some rulemaking on it in a quick hurry. So that really is concerning to us. It changes the way OSHA can come in and do comprehensive inspections of your company, but it also increases the fines by 1,100%. And so that's a huge thing in Oregon right now. What I'm doing personally is getting our RCA, the Associated Roofing Contractors of Oregon and Southwest Washington, on board with this. I've reached out to the Home Builders Association and got the legislators involved on it. Talked to our board meeting at Western States about getting Western States on board with it. But it's scary. I mean, if you get a repeat violation, that is a minimum $50,000 citation. A minimum.
Wow.
With a maximum of $250,000. Yeah, they have just went up so much. And yeah, it's scary for small businesses in the Oregon area. It's really scary.
Yeah,
so
it is. I mean, and we're seeing these kind of things happening kind of across the board, up and down the coast. A lot of regulations. Yes.
Up and down our coast.
A lot coming on. Trent, what are you seeing with regulations that contractors should be aware of?
Yeah, it's been a real robust year for regulations that scare contractors. There's been a ton of stuff, everything from recharacterizing the independent contractor rule, which affects subcontractors and whether or not you're properly classifying them as employees or independent contractors. A slew of federal new OSHA regulations. A lot of guidance that's come out that's not been very favorable to contractors. It's on fire right now. So keeping up with that is for a roofing contractor is almost a full-time job. So it's a lot.
And I truly believe a majority of companies want to do the right thing, but you have to do it in a way that is, that makes sense for your employees, for your business, for all of those things. And so it's a hard balance. And I mean, 1,100%, that's just crazy. You're in California.
and many things begin in California, good and bad.
Yes.
Hopefully more good in the future. Seems hopefully we've survived a lot of things there. I mean, it's got a robust Cal OSHA and also DTSC and all the other OWIHA. Those enterprises are always looking at trades and looking at manufacturers and products and trying to, in some sense, push us to do better. Unfortunately, it gets a little detrimental and a little bit punitive rather than incentivizing. They tend to take a very heavy-handed approach, and we're just hoping that partnership of associations like NRCA and Western States can continue to work with, let's say, regulations and the government to get responsible workplace, effects in place, so that we're not all being driven out of business because they decided that they need to enact something that they think is necessary, but all of us might, with real knowledge, know it's excessive and really heavy-handed and not wise for what everybody's looking for.
Right. You want the good solutions.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because when I look at it, I think about VOCs in California, and I can remember 10, 15 years ago, everybody was like, we're going to fight it. Well, it's non-VOC land. And people have actually innovated to make products that are working very well and are also good for the environment. So the opportunities are there, even amidst when we just got to have some common sense, which I know I shouldn't say that at the same time we're talking about government and legislation, but the innovation opportunities are there, and you've seen a lot of that.
Yes, and I think at the end of the day, what we see about California is they're trying to push people to do better. They're not satisfied, which is in the best of light. But unfortunately, I worry that there are larger powers at work, other people that are trying to get special interest, and they're also just trying to get further into how people run their business or run their lives, and maybe that isn't necessary. Maybe we don't have to have the COVID problem again. We can realize that it's under control, or we're doing things right, and people can be safe, and that's what I see in the construction trade is, the people who are doing it well don't run into issues with the state.
Right.
But the guy who pops up the ladder and he doesn't, put it the right level above it and doesn't secure it and doesn't train his employees, they're putting all of our industry at risk. And those are the people we need to get in the organizations, get them trained, get them in front of other good suppliers who can educate them, so that if they're committed to be in this business, they do it right and safe. Because otherwise, we all get the burden of that excess regulation because of those difficulties.
You are 100% right on that. That is, I love that, because as we're looking at bringing in, we're always going to have new people coming in. If they don't have the training and they don't have the networking and the mentorship, then it does put the whole industry at risk for being legislated. Really.
And the government solution's not the solution that we all think is optimal, Jenna.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have just a little bit of time left, but I'm really curious on what you're hoping to see on the trade show floor. So, Stephanie, you made a comment earlier about that you didn't have enough equipment this year.
We didn't.
You didn't.
We didn't.
So, how are you going to work the show floor, and what are some of the things you're looking for?
Well, that's usually the biggest thing that I look for is equipment.
Yeah.
The very first time I saw an equipter was here at Western States, and we own 4 of them now.
Love it.
Yeah, so I always look for the equipment and the safety and stuff. That's where I tend to go, are those 2 areas. Not so much the underlayments and stuff. Yeah. We know the kind we like.
You know what you want.
We know what we want. Yeah.
How about technology?
Yeah, and the technology too. Yeah, the technology, the CRM that we use, we found here at Western States. We like them really well.
Oh, yeah?
So I think technology, the insurance, all of it, I think it all has its niche here.
Yeah.
And I like Western States is my favorite show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, because I feel like it's the stuff that we all need in our industry for the Western
For
States.
right here.
For right here.
Yeah.
So it's my favorite show.
And I think that's what's so important is when you have an association that's really focused on the Western States,
Right.
even though,
Right.
if you're going from Arizona to Washington, there's a lot of difference when it comes to environment and everything, but it's still the Western States, and
Right.
people are thinking the same way, dealing with a lot of the same issues as they go through it. Now, Western States has a booth here. Are you going to be working it?
I sure will.
Yes.
If anybody needs to register tomorrow, I'll be there at 1:30.
There's a little bit of a contest going for membership, so we
Yes.
want Stephanie to win.
1:30 tomorrow.
1:30. Come
Yes,
sign up.
I'll be working the booth.
And I think they have beer.
And we have beer. Of course we have beer. Of
course we have beer.
We have beer.
That's never a problem.
And you can check out the safety app. You can
Yes.
scan the QR code on my back. I show you, but I can't get down.
I love it. I love it. So Trent, I know you're always kind of on the forefront of looking. So as you're walking the show floor, I know you're also working your own booth. But what are some of the things you're looking for? What are some of the things you're hoping, or people that you're wanting to connect with?
Yeah, so I'm always interested, obviously it's good to see, manufacturers, suppliers, people that I know in the industry. That's great. But, personally I look for the booths that are dealing with insurance or other associations. And there's a lot of meetings that I have scheduled where they're not booths, like with private equity teams that are, I'm talking to or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that may occur after the show, hours and things like that. So a lot of it is just mingling, seeing what's going on, and keeping your eyes and ears open, because you never know what's going to be important and what you're going to see. So
I learn a lot just by talking to everybody and hearing what's your concerns, what's happening. And it reminds me, you just said insurance, and we didn't really cover that, but that was a big part of the luncheon today too, is insurance prices for auto, for homes, getting pulled, policies getting pulled. You're in the forefront of it in Florida.
yeah, mine doubled this year.
Doubled.
Wow. Yep.
And Florida insurance has got its own its own challenges there on construction and roofing by itself. Huh?
We're a block all the way up, so I may just go uninsured here pretty soon.
It is great, and I was really surprised to hear about. I had heard it was happening, but really about the auto insurance. So for all the fleets out there, for contractors, you probably already have all heard this, but those, watch your rates, watch your policies on what's going on, and the fact that they're pulling so much out of the policies in coverage. You're in California again, we talked about that, but California is having, with all the wildfires.
Yes, yeah, I mean, we were fortunate to get some rain, and then we got more rain, and then we got more rain. So we'd like to see in 24 we get some rain, because usually we have feast or famine. So things grow, and then when they unfortunately dry out, then they become fire kindling.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping for a safe year with regard to that as we get towards the end of the season as things dry out. And we kind of survived, I think, the mudslide season with all the rain coming, and we had a hurricane even in California.
Yeah.
Survived
yeah,
that.
exactly.
So we're trying to catch up to Florida with all the craziness that goes there.
All the severe weather. Hello. And how about you? Looking at the show floor, people you want to connect with, what's kind of on your list?
I think what we're looking for is to meet people. That networking that Western States provides us. People coming by the booth that are curious or interested and willing to step out of maybe what they were doing before and look at something new or look at a new product or new systems. The roofing industry always amazes me on the smart business people that they have out there who are willing to, invest but grow their business and looking at opportunities. So we're looking to meet people who are, interested in what opportunities are out there that they can take advantage of, and we're hoping to provide some of that solution to them.
Yeah, and you've already had a number of people come by your booth, right? I mean,
we did. I had to get dragged by Karen over here. We were so busy.
So we didn't miss it. So we can't talk in general about the projects, but I do want to just mention that General Coatings has done has been a part of some amazing projects on the Strip here in Las Vegas. A lot of spray foam is going down in Las Vegas. Kind of talk just a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when you look at roof systems and you have two opportunities. If it's got an existing building, you can overlay or recover or recoat, put some restoration type of product over, or you can tear it all off and start over. And both situations are important. If it's shot, it's shot. It should be replaced. I'm a full believer in doing the right thing. But if you've got a roof that's performing but it's end of term and you really need to get it back up and snuff and weatherproof it, spray foam or roof coating is a great alternative. And we've been fortunate to work with commercial roofers here in Las Vegas, and they do a lot of the work around here. All the biggest things they got their fingerprints on, and there are entertainment centers that are new out there, and we've been fortunate to put some foam on it, and we got hope that they're going to be viable roofs for 20, 30 years. So.
Yeah, really impressive. And we met with commercial roofers yesterday. Such an amazing group. Dennis Conway, I don't know who he is. And so, but we were with John McGeary yesterday. Really good. So, okay, we're almost to the end of our hour. I so appreciate you guys. Lots of wisdom here. So, I would love, I would love just some. As we're looking forward to 2024 coming. I can't believe I'm saying that. I know we're still in September, but it's almost here. What is some advice that you have for your fellow contractors out there on just prepping for 2024 and some of the things they should be thinking about?
I think that employee retention is huge. Yeah, and that's kind of a back to the build it and they will come. So I think that's huge.
Culture.
Yeah, culture.
Yeah, get involved. Trent?
I'd go back to technology. I really think you've got to start integrating it, and there are a lot of contractors out there that are afraid. And I think now's the time. Now's the time to really start embracing it.
You'll really be left behind without it, especially if the market does shrink or soften a little bit. Technology really and culture and your the kind of type of business you have are going to make all the differences. I mean, like you said, you've been busy all summer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing. Advice.
I think the noise level of politics will be strong next year. So my advice is ignore it and focus on your business and your employees and your clients, and you'll be successful. So.
Oh, I love that. That's the best.
Love that. It's so true. Go to work every day and just do your business and turn off the TV and the radio and everything else.
Exactly.
I know. Well, Thank you all. Thank you for being here, all of you, for all of your wisdom and your advice. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, this live coffee conversations. And thank you, Will, for sponsoring the soundstage and for everything.
We're very grateful to be here, and thank you again to our great guests. And be a part of a Roofers Coffee Shop panel is always amazing.
It's so
We're
fun.
grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Such a great community. That is the thing, community. So we're going to be interviewing some more folks coming up here pretty soon. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more, 2 days. Don't forget about the auction. The silent auction, just go to Western States. You can get to the bidding app. You can do your thing no matter where you're at, helping out to get scholarships for kids. So we will be coming back to you soon with some interviews. Thank you for the live coffee conversations. Check them all out on Roofers Coffee Shop under the RLW. You can find all of our stuff on demand, and we'll be back live here in just a few. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.